All
right, so yeah, I think we just started the stream, so a little late.
Perfect.
Some technical and getting audio to work.
Yes. My bad. I normally use my phone, but for some reason was not getting any sound through my phone or through my headphones. So we had to get the computer all set up real quick.
Yeah, and then the phone actually looks like the quality of the camera is actually better on your phone than it is on your.
Yeah.
Are you on a laptop now?
Yeah, I'm on a MacBook.
Yeah, what's
so
is it just
very
like
good?
Is it blurry?
I don't know. That's what I tried wiping it off. Here,
yeah.
we go.
Is it just low quality laptop webcams? Man, wow.
I guess that's how it is. It is older one, so maybe that's how it goes now.
Yeah, cameras stepping up a little bit on the phones, man. Holy smokes, that's a big difference. Because you like when Dakotah tried to connect earlier, and his video was fine, but his audio, I couldn't get him to broadcast, and he was trying to select all the settings and configurations and jump around, and nothing was working. So he's like, let's switch the entire device and see if that works. So now we're downgraded to a laptop webcam. Lo-fi. This is like going to AM radio almost, you know? So yeah, we're gonna give it some time. Sorry for the delay. A little late startup with the technical difficulties getting a StreamYard to connect with your devices and the audio and video to all sync up and work. So whoa, there's that
better?
There's a little. Maybe your setting is like 480p. Maybe you're at 480p and you need to switch it to 720.
Yep.
So I wanted to do this video just to talk about some of the racing. I don't know if you feel this way, but there's so many races that we go to a race and we perform, and then we get results, and then next week we're at another race, and your mind has already switched gears. You don't want to go think back, about the previous races. And I feel like we don't give these races and some of the accomplishments and some of the wins enough time to kind of sink in or kind of mean something more. I feel like we rush through. It's a race. We get results. We move to the next one, and it's like just one after another. So
yeah, for sure.
Back-to-back national championships, in Nitro Buggy. I read somewhere that this isn't really common, right? This is not a common thing. It's one of the harder things to repeat is to do a Nitro Buggy back-to-back championship. So I just wanted to kind of sit back and kind of just reflect on the time and just kind of give that win the recognition it deserves.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that have to go right, and like to have it happen 2 years in a row is definitely not easy. There's a lot of things that have to go your way, and there's a lot of stuff that has to work out and be on point. So yeah, it's for sure a tough thing. So it was cool to make happen.
Yeah. So before we get into the race itself, I wanted to kind of cover some of the cool things that happened recently, and just to talk about that and just to give that some light too. So recently we got this top 25. This is the first time Dakotah was ranked number 1 in the world. So I don't know. Do you like? There's obviously this never-ending argument of this makes sense. This doesn't make sense. For me, I like the fact that we have something to look at that is a traceable account of your record, and in some way giving you points in a scoring system to kind of rank people, right or wrong. If it's the right or wrong method, that can be argued to the end of time. But I think it's cool, and it's finally like I knew beginning. When we first started, you're like 20th or like
I was 18th. Way down there.
Yeah, we were way back down. And then it took a lot of time, and I knew we had the ability. I knew you had the skill. We needed the cars, and we needed to finish these races, and it took 2 years to kind of really clean out some of the results from the past, the hit and miss results, and replace them with good results. And finally, here we go. You're right up there with the best in the world. How does that feel, or what was it like finding the snooze finally, like, holy smokes, from out of the blue to number one?
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool for sure. You know, I don't think it's a perfect system by any means. And I don't think it's really possible to have a perfect system. But I think it is, you know, it is a good indication of generally where people are at. And yeah, like you said, I was pretty far down for, you know, a while, just having issues finishing races, and, you know, the speed was never a problem, but it was just getting the program 100% and finishing the main events out. So it's for sure been a really long process. You've been able to see, like, you know, every race kind of just like slowly working our way up there. And it's cool. It's cool to see. It's just cool to see that the hard work has been paying off. And this, you can just kind of look back and see where I was at and where I'm at now. Regardless if you believe in the ranking system or not, you can see how much progress we've made over the last couple of years, and how much the results have turned around. You know, we've been finishing main events and been, you know, on the podium at, you know, pretty much every Nitro Buggy race last couple of years for the most part. So it's been cool to see that, and to see just everything come together.
Is there any names on this list that surprises you? Like, are you like, that guy's right up there, or like, were you when you were kind of like coming through the field,
Yeah,
a little bit, were there like, you know, like, were there names like, why is this dude above me? You know, like, I don't know, just like, I'm sure there's a couple like, you're like, what the?
yeah. I mean, it was for sure frustrating to see where I was at, and to see the points, and to see, you know, I think I had like 80 points or something like that at one point. So you know, we've come a long ways from where we were at. And yeah, it's just like you said, it's cool to see all the hard work paying off, and to just kind of be up, at least, you know, in the mix now.
Yeah, and this is not one of those things that happened overnight. You know, I think a lot of times when I talk to people, I get the sense that people are trying to rush and get results fast, quick, easy. And it's not one of those, this is not one of those things that happens just in a month. You know, this took 2 years, and prior to 2 years, even before that, of all the failures to kind of turn around and be able to pinpoint some of the things that need to be adjusted, and then find the right adjustment, and then be able to turn that around, and then do the 2 years and put in your time to kind of see eventually. Because like I said, when I first started, you were around 20th or 21st and 18th. And then we were kind of bouncing around there. And then all of a sudden, just a slow progression. Each time these got released, it's like you're going up a spot or two. And it's just like, I knew in my mind, it's like, okay, eventually we just go to these races and do the best we can. Eventually those bad results will clear out, and you'll be at the top. You know, I was like, this is just a matter of time. We just have to just figure out when that time is going to be, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and like you said, it's tough. You can have, you know, we could have had one bad race here or there, and
it's going to happen, right? You know,
yeah, and you have to wait.
Eight skill.
Then it's a 2-year loop, so you have to wait 2 years. You could have a good, you know, you could go out and have a good 2024, but if your result from 2023 wasn't good, then you're stuck with it until, you know, 2025. So it's a pretty gnarly ranking system when you actually sit and think about how many times it has to go right, and, you know, how little room for error there is when it comes to that. So yeah, it's pretty tough for sure.
Yeah. So that I just wanted to highlight that. I thought that was cool. A big thing for TLR to be on top, Dakotah to be on top with all his other sponsors too. So that was a accomplishment by the whole entire group that's part of your program here. So, all right. So another thing I wanted to highlight, what I thought was really cool, was seeing one of these drop in my mailbox. You know, so Transmitter magazine, it's a Horizon magazine, and it's actually a pretty thick one. Has a lot of different materials. The cool thing about it, it's got your story in here, and I just had a fun time reading it, and there's some cool photos of when Dakotah was a little tyke. So like,
yeah,
if you want some old school Dakotah photos, that right there has some gold in there. So it's been awesome to see that. Some of the evolution of Dakotah Phend with the I think Tater, what does Tater call it with the highlights?
I forgot. He has something. He has something.
Yeah, he calls it something like the highlight days, and then Chloe calls the sunglasses your Oakley, the bug eyes. That was like a phase that you had. Like there were certain moments in your like evolution besides your racing, obviously.
Yeah, it's funny to look back now. And I actually had forgot about that. They did it back in December when I was out there doing the videos and stuff for the masterclass series. And they went and did that, and it turned out really well. They did a really good job, just writing the information out and just kind of how they presented everything. It was cool to see. So yeah, I completely forgot, and then I just showed up in mail. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I thought the photo was fantastic on the cover. It just, you got your radio, you got your headset on, you can see the reflection of the color in your lenses. It just is a really nice RC photo of you driving. So I thought that was spectacular. And the article was really well written for people that don't know much about RC, or at least the RC racing side. They know a lot about RC radio controlled stuff, but maybe not so much the racing. And they did a fantastic job and put together a really nice article covering your racing from 5 years old and up. So if you guys want to do or know a little bit more about Dakotah, check out the Transmitter magazine. This is available, I think, at hobby shops, select hobby shops. They have it for purchase or for sale, or you can maybe swing a deal or something with the hobby shop. So, but yeah, very cool. A very nice piece to have, I think, along with the success that you've had in the recent couple of races in the last few years. Just awesome to kind of icing on the cake, I guess, right?
Yeah. It's been a good month.
Yeah. So, and then let's move and talk about nationals. Before we do this, I wanted to acknowledge something that has happened. Man, it's some of the worst news that I came across, like just reading on the internet that Kevin Gelleck passed away, A-Main's Kevin Gelleck. So it was kind of just, I don't know, it's so surreal. We were just at his track, racing on his track, and we were all just talking to him.
Yeah, he was there every day, like doing work and putting in the work. So
just so it's just want to recognize Kevin. I mean, I think for a lot of us, he was a racer first, and an industry guy second, and all that stuff. So a really good dude. For those of you who didn't know, Kevin, he was solid, good people. And for those who got to know Kevin, I didn't know Kevin very well. Like we weren't like homies or best friends or have a serious past. But every time I had an interaction with him, with races or race events or track thing or sponsorship, he was super awesome to deal with. And you could just sense like people when you text him or you call them or they interact with you. They're just good people, and he had that flavor, that sense with him, even from just a simple email. And I'm like, man, this guy's cool. And then if you got to race on his tracks, they were magical tracks, man. Like he's
done some pretty legit tracks, worlds and nationals, and he's everyone knows about his tracks and just the layouts he's
legendary.
Done. And,
so sad day for the industry to lose such a great guy. So hearts out to his family and condolences to Kevin Gelleck's family. But moving on, I mean, surreal that we just raced and talked to him and was a part of his whole national event there. So the track, again, Kevin did an amazing job with, he just has this really good feeling of flow and difficulty and technicalness. Like there's just some people just really get that, right? Like they just have an ability to design a track layout that drives so well, that challenges you and pushes you. And then when you get it right, it's the best feeling in the world. It just it looked like, I didn't get to drive the track obviously, but it looked like it had one of those that magic flow.
Yeah, this layout, like it was one that initially like you could go out and just drive and get around pretty good, and like not. I mean, most of us were going pretty good the first practice session out.
Yeah.
But once you, I mean, it kind of always, I think it kind of works out that way for us. Like the first session out for the pros, like we're able to kind of adapt and figure out the layout quick. But then, you know, the second practice and third practice is actually when you see a lot more mistakes, because then you're kind of starting to push a little bit, see where you can go, and figure out like what the fast line is. And this layout ended up being extremely technical. Very, very precise to do those laps, like where you're at in the lane, just like the line, but then also the landings and stuff. The landings were a little bit different from what we've normally seen.
Block, Talkin, MKS servos, VP Racing,
and it made it pretty tough. So you had to when you were jumping the downsides, you had to try to land a little bit farther down or on top. If you'd kind of land in the middle where you normally would, it would just kind of bounce funny. So that made it
buck you. Yeah.
Yes.
Look at. I like this video. Look at my guy. Like before your main,
just lounging.
He's just sitting on the ground, right? Like this is before your main event. You're like, I don't know, how hot was it today? Like 95.
Yeah, it was in the mid 90s. It was pretty rough. Yeah, fortunately, no sun up there. We were covered at least.
Yeah, sometimes you get sun on the back of the legs for an hour. Oh my god,
brutal.
I've only stood up there for even 10 minutes and e-buggy race, right? And if you get the sun in the back, summer sun in the back of the legs, yeah. Oh man, it's toasty afterwards. So yeah, so this right here in the introduction, just gonna play the video for a little bit and fast forward, and watch the start and talk about the racing. But yeah, right here, what do you do? Like? You're drinking water, you're staying hydrated. Are you like trying to calm yourself down? Are you going through things in your head like, what am I gonna do at the start? Are you coming up with a game plan, or are you just like, okay, just chill out, and then when I hear the tone, it's go time?
Yeah, I think just trying to get in the right mindset, maybe not like thinking anything specifically, but just trying to get into the right mindset and just, you know, get the water drank and, you know, stretch if you need to. Your only break, which is only for a couple seconds, is just when you come into pit, you can kind of like loosen up a little bit and, you know, dance a little bit, loosen the legs up, but doesn't give you much time. So just trying to get prepared for that. And yeah, it was hot for sure. And there really wasn't much of a breeze on Sunday. Saturday was pretty hot, but we had a breeze, which was really nice when we were up there. But Sunday was pretty calm out there. So yeah, just trying to get mentally prepared. This is always, I would say, this is probably the toughest part. It's just the wait. You just want to get out there and get going and stuff, you know?
Yeah. Would you just rather just start racing? Like, don't like just start the car, warm up, then grid up, and then go? Like, this is like,
yeah,
dude, this is agony.
Yeah, I would say so. Like, it's even like you see with electric, like A2s having to do the intros and stuff. Like, it just, I mean, you just want to get out there and drive and do your thing. Like, that's you know what we're there for. So, I mean, I have no problem with the driver intros, but yeah, it's just you're just kind of like waiting. Gives you time to, you know, either mentally prepare in a positive way, or, you know, for some people or sometimes it can be in a negative way, you know, getting more nervous or anxious, or, you know, whatever it may be. So yeah, I think that this is a tough part of it.
What about
you'll see a lot of us like we'll wait to go up there until like the last minute, just because it's just, you don't want to just sit up there for half an hour.
Like, what about the length? Would you rather have like, this was a Roar thing? And by the way, I want to make a quick comment about the Roar thing. 2023 Roar, so much better already than last year's Roar. The effort's there. You can definitely tell that they want to make it better, and I think the motivation, I think it's going to be a good thing. So one of the questions that was asked in the managers meeting was, you know, do we do this hour race and figure out who is the best after an hour, or do we make it shorter like 20-minute battles, so we have more action and more racing, you know, because one of the arguments is we spend a lot, days qualifying, and then we have a quicker, well, in Nitro you have an hour main, but in other racing genres you have 5-minute mains or whatever, and we spend more time actually just qualifying than racing. Do you feel like an hour is too long, or would you rather have 3 20-minute mains so that there's more action and more racing versus just the pace and you just hold on and then see what happens?
Yeah, I mean, I see typically, I would say for the most part, people, I mean, you could say plus or minus 1 or 2 positions, but typically after, 20 or 30 minutes, people are in the position that they're in. You're not going to, you don't normally make up drastic amounts of time in the latter half of the race.
Yeah.
It's more just how much time do you lose in the beginning. What I think the hour main does do is those, extra 30 minutes or so, test the, the equipment, the tires, the engine, making sure the car's going to last.
Differently.
Yes, electronics, the endurance of you mentally. So that's really where I see the difference. Maybe not in the positions, but you'll see people have, like, you normally don't see people for the most part having mechanical failures early on unless just something got missed. Normally it's a little bit deeper into the race. So that's, I think, where I see the difference. I see both sides of it. I see where, like, you have to have the whole package together so that hour main makes sure that you do. And I also see where, like, having multiple 20-minute mains gives people more of a chance to race. And if someone squirts away in the beginning in A1, there's a chance in A2 or A3 to kind of make it be a different story. It does suck, like, if you crash in the beginning, you have an hour to make it up. But like I said, you normally, like, you're not going to typically get back up there. If you start last, it's really hard to make your way all the way up. You get sucked into the positions that you're in and battling and stuff, and it's just you'll see when we start the race, like, the distance gets spread out really quickly from the people in the front to the people in the back. And it's really not necessarily anything they're doing wrong, but it's just really hard to be clean and not make mistakes when, there's 5 cars in front of you and 5 cars behind you. It's just, people are just all over the place. So yeah, I can see both sides to it.
I know I got a few people asking.
This is what I thought would be good for an hour. Like this track, the size, like the hour battle seems to be, it makes more sense here for some reason.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
I don't know. Like, yeah, I agree with what you said with the hour battle, the duration, the mental test, and all those things. Because in 30 minutes, let's say, you don't test the car and the equipment as the same if you ran it in 100 degrees weather for 1 hour long,
All right, guys.
Yeah. When you think about what the cars and the equipment are doing, it's pretty crazy. Like, I mean, this track is abrasive. We were going through, we were doing
you could pretty much go through a chassis, like, in one event. You could probably replace the chassis and be good.
Yeah, it was abrasive. There was a ton of tire wear in qualifying, and we were doing the 10-minute qualifiers, but I think everyone was kind of like trying to figure out what are we going to do for a main that's going to last? I think by the time mains came around, it was actually running on slicks or like lower tread was a lot better than what we thought it was going to be. In qualifying, it was a nightmare. And I think that was just because there was just dust on the track from some of the other guys that were jumping offline and stuff and throwing around the track.
It was easy to jump lanes on this layout.
Yes.
For whatever reason, this layout, this configuration, the jumps, it was very easy to kind of see. I saw all day long, even towards Sunday, was like guys jumping over into the wrong lanes, and obviously not doing it on purpose or trying to or cutting tracks or nothing like that. It's just, it was easy to really kind of just jump on the wrong direction and land over the wrong side and then kind of do your thing and get popped back over the pipe and continue with your race. It was, I don't know why it was, but it was, it just was very easy to do on this layout. This X section, like, I felt like the S section at the front was very tricky, and that led into a very tricky double that you couldn't under jump or over jump, because you over jumped it
a weekend of
you swing out
surprises.
really
We've
wide
had
and
Oh yeah.
burn up.
Yeah, I mean, you
burn up
over
a
jump it
lot of
by
time.
break for Dakotah Phend
you
in
over
the
jump it by
Sunday
3
lane.
inches, and you go
I
an
was
extra
shocked when
4 feet
somebody said
wide
that his
in the
motor
turn.
mount
I
actually
mean, it
broke.
Yeah.
was
And that's what happened
super
to his
critical and a really
car.
big
So his motor
difference.
mount broke,
And that's kind of what we was talking about a little bit
somebody
earlier. There's
said
that little
too
tabletop
lean,
double right there on
and
camera, and then the one after the S section right here. And where you landed was super important. There's really two lines that worked. You either just went really short and just landed flat and then rolled down, which was the safest line,
Ooh.
or you could jump the whole thing. And if you did that, you had to be within. If you didn't land within 2 inches, then it was a missed line, so to speak.
Yeah, and
And
the face of that jump was totally
Yes.
getting carved out.
Every guy's
So
got a
like
hole up
it
for
would
you. Do you think it's
flip
gonna
your
win
car
this?
all weird. So you'd have to always turn your wheel just to level
I
it.
don't know, man.
And then,
Hey,
like,
Fuller was
hopefully you don't
super
roll
fast
over when
at
you do
Silver
it.
State.
Yes.
He came from
yeah,
beyond.
it was like I said, it was very
Uh,
challenging
finished
to
third.
actually like
But yeah, I
do
wish he was
the
here
fast
sometime. I was
lines.
shocked when he said
And
he
a lot of the
wasn't
track,
gonna be
which
here.
it helped that there was
But,
grip, but a lot of the track was just
It's been a
about
long
being
weekend.
very
I
tight.
appreciate what you do, man.
So you'd come through that S
Appreciate what you
section,
do. It's a
and you
long
didn't want to
weekend
like kind of
talking
sweep out and,
something of
and
the
get set
content.
up for it. You wanted to
Let
be all the way
anybody
against
have a
inside pipe
let
and try to just
anybody
turn a
have
little bit
a
left, turn a little bit
content,
right,
not
and then you
just
land
say
that
anything.
little double
So
tabletop,
kudos
stay
to
tight
Scotty
against the
and all his
pipe.
hard work that he does.
Everything was just
But
trying to stay as tight
it
as
definitely
possible.
is not easy.
And
Thank you, Joey
there
Showers.
was
We
a
got
grip to do.
little
I mean, it reminded me
got some
of 10
stars in
scale,
there.
kind of like
Morgan
slicks
Showers.
racing a
What's
little
up,
bit,
Morgan? How you doing? We're
but
getting ready for the
obviously on a
start.
much
We don't have
bigger
anybody
scale,
calling time at the moment.
So
with tires
I
that are changing.
yeah, I have a
There we see Matt
theory
Walter, Tecmo got their first national
about
championship in Truggy there, looking
like
to get their second
what's
in
happening.
Nitro
Like
Buggy.
well, your
This is the first
ability to
Nitro
go
Buggy
fast
championship
in
that
8
they
scale is
national
part
championship that they
of
won.
your ability to go fast in 10 scale. I feel
Mhm.
like that connection
Thank you, Scotty. I
helps you
appreciate
more
it.
now
Look
in
forward to
8
your
scale
future coverage as
more than
well.
ever, I think, in
So
the
you got a
past.
lot of
Because,
races
like you
planned here
said,
over the next
it's
6
kind of
months.
like cruising around on slicks almost, right? It has like this direct
Okay, so we
feel.
did have a call.
The track,
Actually,
like
30 seconds left.
like this track, for instance,
Hope
is
you guys are ready to run.
I wouldn't say
Ronnie
it's
Drake
in
in here. Are you
crazy
cheering
high
on
bite,
Adam?
but there's a
You
lot
the
of grip, a
grandpa?
lot of abrasion, and you have to be
Nation
very
says, Morgan Showers, hello, Ben Panic
focused
tuning in from
on your
Australia.
line.
Adam
Like
from
if you're a
from
little bit
Montreal,
off your line, you're
We are ready for the
you're
6-minute
pushing,
final.
or
We
you're
see Mike
you're
Sontag,
plowing,
he has been
or
doing
you're
some
spinning
exceptionally
tire.
fast
So
pits
like,
all year.
and you have to, and the
I think
line's
he's doing
there,
well.
and you know it's there,
Dakotah Phend
but
win a
it's
Truggy
just
race,
a
which is
matter
fitting
of
this early this
always
year.
kind of
Looking very good.
forcing
What's up,
yourself to
Noah?
stay
How you
there,
doing?
because
Yep.
once you
Beauty
once you
Rod
go out
Gonzalez says,
and go a
let's
little
go
wide,
Ultra for the
it
win.
could be like Spin City.
Ah, that's funny.
Yeah, no, you're you're done. And especially actually Mike was
Dakotah Phend. There we go. It's Don.
Mike was
Is
kinda
he
keeping
telling
me
you anything
updated.
right now? Like, is he saying don't crash on the first lap?
Yeah, I probably. I told him before we get started, I'm like, I just have to get through the first 15 minutes and like have not anything crazy go by, crazy happen, and then like, then kind of go from
this
there.
happens.
And then I get
right
past
here.
the first lap. And
Yeah. I'm like, oh shoot.
Yeah,
I was watching
no,
that. I was
he-
like, oh man.
he had a really good line there, and I kind of was just playing it pretty safe. And yeah, he had a really good line, and then made a
And then
mistake
that
right here, and yeah, I'm like, okay, like, I guess I'll
Yeah.
take it. And then I kind of took it easy this lap as well, and then I was kind of like, all right, I got to get going now. I think what's gonna happen here, I think Ryan actually like. Yes, he actually was really nice. He actually checks up there. And that's kind of just like that wasn't a mistake. That was him purposely checking up just to make sure. I went a little bit wide going into the triple
Because you
it was a lot
could
tighter,
meet, right?
so
Like,
he just checked up.
Yeah, he was smart enough to know that if he jumped that jump completely, you could land where he's going to land, and you both get deflected. So smart driving by Mayfield to kind of just double single that to let you land, because you did go wide, and he knew that. And if you guys got kind of deflected or tangled up, that would be a disaster. So smart driving by, and I think that's one of the things that like some of the veteran guys know this, and then they know also you have to be there at the end of the race to contend for the win.
Yeah.
Dakotah Phend is already open up a lead. As you see,
So yeah, I mean, I think
right
after that
there,
happened, I'm like, all
just a
right,
little
it's
bit
time
sideways.
to go. I was kind of sleeping a little bit the first lap and a half, and
Was
I
it just
started to.
tires kind of like, were you just kind of feeling out the tires? Like,
So
did they need to
I
break
think
in some?
I think some of it was we were running, or at least I was running a lot harder compound. I ran a rehab though, and I knew that they were gonna. I knew that they were going to be bald by the end. I didn't know exactly when it was going to happen, but I knew they're going to be bald. So they did like a 2-minute call. So I came into the pit to save my tires, so I wasn't running for 5 minutes before the main started. And I went back out and did like half a lap before we like went to grid. But I think just some of the heat went out of the tires. It just kind of took a minute, I'm sure, just for myself to kind of get going again. I feel like normally I'm pretty good the first lap and kind of like get a gap, but yeah, I'm wondering maybe just the tires just lost a little bit of heat and just kind of took a second to kind of get going again.
Yeah, they looked to me. They looked a little hard. Like when you like they looked fine when you were warming up, and then as you gridded up and waited for all that, then your first lap, like the tires looked a little hard, like you didn't have any grip, and you're kind of sliding, and you not really have a lot of traction. And then it seemed like once you got like right now, they look like you're grooving up and you're going 100% if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So this weekend we had we decided to go with new servos, some Spectrum 6295 servos. New ones, they're black. They look awesome. Finally, you know, non like all silver servo. So like it just doesn't just pop out and stick out like a sore thumb. It's just very sleek now. So like the batteries, they used to be orange, now they're black. So they just kind of blend in a lot nicer, a lot stealthier, kind of a pro look. So I dig the new servos. What did you think? Your first impression with the 6295s?
Yeah, so I mean, this is one of those situations where it's really awesome to have a team and to have people there at the event that know what's going on. Ryan Dunford and Barry had both run these servos already and done some testing with them and stuff, and they gave me some feedback, and it was just, hey, like this seems like they're a lot more precise, and they come back to center even better, and they're just more precise when you're driving. So I'm like, well, that's I'm usually pretty close to tubes, and that's like I like the precision aspect of racing a lot, and that's kind of what I focus on. So I'm like, okay, let's just kind of go for it. So I actually hadn't even run these servos until like this event. We just kind of made that decision, like they had tested them, and like I said, we have a good working relationship and stuff. So I trust them and their opinions, and decided to put them in. And yeah, I thought they were really good. They were a little bit faster, so I kind of adjusted the speed a little bit. Figured that out, and yeah, they were great the whole weekend.
Did they feel like everything like Ryan was saying? They return center. They have a more precision feel. Did it feel like that on the track, or are you just hammering it? And like, I mean, if you know how the Dakotah drives, he barely moves the steering wheel, so I'm pretty sure he's very sensitive to the way the servo kind of moves around in there.
Yeah, I mean, I did not hit a lot of pipe this weekend, so
no.
that's a good sign. And this was a very technical track. Like I said, if the tighter you are, the faster you go.
I don't think he crashed until like the 40th minute mark.
Yeah, I just had one crash. It was actually right there in that bowl turn.
Yeah, I think he traction rolled or hit a pipe and flipped over there, and it was like 40 minutes into the race, and I'm kind of hovering. Like at this point, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I'm watching the race, but like not watching the race because like I know what happened in Truggy. So like so I'm like, okay, let's just let the race happen. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. I'm like doing things like packing up and like I'm like cleaning my table, and I'm just trying to get my mind off it so that I can like go. Like the ups and downs are pretty radical in 8-speed. Like you can go a high, you can go low in like so quick. So I'm just like trying not to get too involved and just let the result be the result. And it is what it is, and there's nothing we can do about what's happening if something was to happen. So it's like,
All right, so we have 2 more minutes on the poll. Get those votes on who.
Yeah, I think I just had crashed in that bull turn. There's like a little bit of a section I think that was breaking up on the inside, and then just as the tires got lower and lower, it got more and more grip there, and just I kind of adjusted. This was an interesting race because you had to adjust how you drove. Not a ton, but you definitely had to make some corrections to your driving style during the race as the tire wear changed. So that was one of those sections like I kind of had adjusted a few times already, and that one just kind of caught me by surprise. And then after that, like I had to adjust even more. So in the beginning you're going into you can be full crank like on the gas hard, and by the end I was actually braking before I got to the turn, and then like turning the wheel is like one trim click, and like it just changed a lot. And I think a lot of people are crashing there. I passed quite a few people that were upside down there. So I think it was kind of just how it was there. And just like I said, as the tire wear changed, the grip level changed a lot, and you had to change your driving a lot. Mike was keeping me up to date as far as fuel mileage is concerned, because with how hot it was, we knew tire wear was going to get low, so you're going to be spinning, and it was going to be tough. So pretty much everyone pitted at the 7:30 mark. I don't think anyone did the 8:40 pit stop, which would have dropped a stop, which on this track is a really, really big advantage. It's such a slow pit lane. I think it was 8-9 seconds it would cost you. So that was really critical. But yeah, everyone did the 7:30, played it safe, and we did actually notice like quite a bit of fuel mileage change. So it came in for the first one, which the first one you're normally driving a little bit easier. You're getting good mileage. The tank is 100% full because you're fueling it with a fuel bottle, and I think I used like 100 cc to fuel, so I had like 25 left. And second stop already, like I was up at 108. So Mike let me know and kind of made that adjustment from there, and just kind of he would just kind of keep reminding me every once in a while, like, hey, like make sure, like keep an eye on the tire spinning and stuff. Make sure you're not spinning the tires a ton. We saw that Worlds as well when we were running slicks, and it was a smooth track like this, like the tire wear, you get the groove a little bit, and your instinct is to yank it. And it doesn't go anywhere. All you do is just spin tires, you're revving the motor out and using a lot of fuel. So had to that was really the main thing I had to keep telling myself was, if you get a little bit offline, like just be really patient and take your time getting back into the groove.
So your mom asked a question about your favorite section on the layout. What was like the most difficult section?
Yeah, so probably my favorite section is
the wall ride.
Here.
You love the wall ride.
Yeah, that triple right there. The triple was really cool. You kind of came into it at a turn. You jumped it as you're turning, landed turning.
You actually kind of have to cross cut a little bit, right? Yes. Like, if you do the fast line, you're actually cutting maybe a width of the car over the line, over the pipe. And that's the fast line. If you kind of jump it normal, you're landing towards the dusty part of the track, and then you're gonna not really be able to cut that next double tabletop thing very well. So it was very technical.
That was fun, and I liked the roller and then double coming onto the front section. That actually kind of got like a little bit of a bump in the roller part. And you actually could kind of like pre-jump and jump up over the roller without actually hitting the lip. So that was cool. And then
what about the center section jump? Was that a pain in the butt?
It just the wind would blow every once in a while, and it would kind of like kite your car a little bit. So kind of sometimes you see a lot of cars like in qualifying and stuff, you jump this and your front end would bounce, and it was just because you landed just a little bit more on the rear. And the front one kind of just like smashed down, and it would bounce a little bit, and it would kill. You would lose a couple tenths from that, for sure. So that was just kind of like one of those sections that you kind of just, sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. It really wasn't like a crash or anything like that. It just, you lose a little bit of time.
So that one, so he jumped it wide, jumped it a little long. You end up having to do a really wide turn and trying to carry the speed and use a lot of throttle to kind of generate speed and corner speed. So it's kind of that turn, man. If you wanted to catch somebody, if the first guy missed it and you made it, like you're closing like car lengths on somebody
Yeah.
just from that one turn. It's like
Yeah,
crazy.
and it was
There
probably
is.
you jumped it 3 inches too long. It was, like I said, it was very, very, very precise track.
And then here we go. Testman, obviously super fast all weekend, had great speed, and was on pace to finish second, and unfortunately had a very bad incident with lap traffic, and then did not finish. A bummer for him because it was a very good nationals for Ty. It's been a while, and great speed, but then obviously like in 8 skill, like I said, the highs are high and the lows are super low, and that's definitely a low moment to run so well and just not be able to finish it out.
Yeah, like I think it was like 4 minutes left or something like that. So
Yeah, you race
yeah,
54
definitely
minutes.
sucked.
You race 54 minutes. You're there all weekend long, and you just the last 4 minutes that in one lap incident you have something happen and your race is finished. So very, very. I mean, we've been there. We've all been there, and it just sucks to see when you're doing well and you have that robbed away. So. Any hop ups on the car this weekend? Because a lot of people think we run something that's totally different. But at this point, like I do want to address something like most of the time that Dakotah is going to be on the track or racing, he's going to have parts on his car that is some sort of prototype or something that we're testing. Sometimes it's something you can see, sometimes it's something you can't see. But at this point in his racing and what we're trying to do to further the progress of our cars is have him test different things. So so you have some parts on the car that's different, but most of the car honestly is basically a stock car. I think there's a different rear tower that we have. We're testing a different height tower, and that's really about it, I would say, in terms of like craziness.
Yeah, there's we have the world's chassis, which I think has already been talked about for a little while now. But yeah, I mean it's been the car that I've been running for 6 months now, and it's just I feel like we've like really kind of started to figure out and dial in like the consistency side of things. Getting the car to be the same for the whole run and still have that speed. It's a tough. It's I mean I won't say it's easy, but it's easy to find speed, but it's hard to find the speed and be comfortable. And I felt very comfortable all weekend. We had to make quite a few adjustments, which was kind of the same path we went down at Worlds. Just trying to get the car to drive how I want, and get around the track fast. And it was really just for me. It's all mostly about steering feel. I'm very picky when it comes to that, and just kind of getting that right. I like a lot of steering. I feel like people watch like, oh, like he has so much, and I'm like, oh, I kind of have like just barely enough. I feel like.
How do I put this? How do you tell somebody, or how do you explain to somebody what a lot of steering is? You know what I mean? Because I feel like people don't know. Like I think some people have too much steering, right? And they're like, oh, I need more steering. It's like, dude, you like your car steering to the ground. Like, why do you need more steering? And then sometimes people think their steering is good and I'll drive their car and it's like pushing off the track. I'm like, dude, your car, you need more steering. Really? It feels great. Like, how do you say you like a lot of steering? And I know this because I see what you prefer. I see your car on the track. I listen to what your feedback is, and I'm watching and observing with my own eyes. So like I can see, okay, he needs a little more steering, or he needs a little more cut, and he'll be faster. And it's just from that experience. I know that you like a lot of steering, but how do you like I feel like sometimes steering gets a lot of people into trouble.
Yeah, 100%. This is something I feel like I and all of us have made a lot of progress with as far as like setups for me specifically is concerned. is figuring out like
I am going to show you
what we need, like what does a car need to be where we can be competitive and compete for the win. And I think that I've kind of like really like just grown a lot in that aspect and figured that out, just with the people around me who have, you know, helped me to do that, and, you know, the testing and stuff we've done behind the scenes. And that's a lot tougher question than I think you will probably realize, is knowing when to make changes, when you need to, and when you don't need to. And I think
I think that's like super hard, because I get a lot of, obviously I'm at the track and I'm listening to everybody, and I get a lot of complaints like, I need more grip, you know. And it's like, sometimes I'm like, to me, you look like you have a lot of grip, you just need to drive better. You know what I mean? Sometimes like I want to say that, but then they want to say, I need more grip, I need more this, I need more side by, I need more forward drive. It's usually a question about grip, but sometimes it's like I'm watching it, it doesn't look like they're suffering from a lack of grip, but more so it could be an adjustment they need to do for what they're driving or how they approach a certain turn, so they don't make certain mistakes happen.
Yeah, and I think also people have a hard time mentally like being okay with it, like they just want to drive how they want to drive. And a big part of being successful is just adapting to what you have, and realizing like what is the limit of the car, and adjusting your driving to that in each of the sections to maximize what you have. You know, when you're out on the track, like you have what you have, however good or bad it is, that's where you're at. So you got to try to make the most of it, and then, you know, you go back and make an adjustment for the next one. And I think just as you get more comfortable, you know, the more you race, it gets easier to do that. So, you know, we're making changes during qualifying and stuff, and trying to get everything dialed in. And sometimes we're not making any changes at all. You know, like I said, I think we've gotten really good as a team as being like, okay, this is where we need to be. Like, we're done. Whether that be after the first practice, or, you know, after the main practice, you know, going into the main, like just realizing where we need to be at, and getting there as quickly as we can.
Let's see what it is when he comes by.
Yeah, it's definitely a race within a race. You know what I mean? Because like we're trying to race on the track, but then also race to try to beat the other teams with figuring out the car, figuring out the tires, the package that will be fast. You know, and so hopefully when we put you out there on the next run, you have a better package, and you can do what you need to do and get the results that we're looking to get. So yeah, I think the team is definitely coming together, and we have a better understanding of how to work with each other and work with you and work with Barry, and everybody's got their personality, so we are kind of meshing a lot better, I think. And it's starting to show in terms of just the program itself. You know, I feel like every time we go to a race, we'll kind of figure it out. You know what I mean? I'm not really stressed about the race itself, and it usually seems to work out. Like, we've had enough help, we have enough experience, and we can get the car close enough in the ballpark to hopefully be at the front. So yeah, let's take some questions. If you guys have questions, there's a couple already posted. There was a comment about two-wheel, about you're dominating two-wheel, and that's why we won't release another two-wheel, but that's not the case. Our guys are busy developing a ton of products. We don't have just one guy developing only race cars. It's product developers developing many types of different products, crossing over for different kind of ranges. So like, it's been a little bit of a struggle, but we've been able to kind of make it work and have the stuff for these bigger races and have the pace to win. So but I wanted to kind of touch back on a comment I made earlier about how I feel. This is my theory, is that Dakotah's 10th scale is really starting to help his 8th scale. And one of the things I think that 10th scale really provides, and it's like if you're, the way I see it is like in MMA, they always say like wrestling is the best base to have as a MMA fighter, right? I think in racing, I think 10 scale, in RC racing, 10 scale off-road
You
is
got a
probably
turn
one of the
marshal right
best
there.
base to
Ooh, that was
have
close. As Vicken comes
as
in for
to
fuel.
start out, and
Good time by
it
Vicken.
teaches you so much
And that's Dakotah
repetition
Phend. He's getting
and
ready
car
for last. Same with
control and
T-Bell down in
precision
sixth.
that I think now in 8 scale, when
So
we start to
in
move to
fifth
these
now,
higher
as
bike
T-Bell is
tracks,
just on.
that precision
Phend
is really
is
starting
just
to
on
show
rails.
in
Oh
from the 10
man.
scale. And
Phend went out there and said, "All right, guys, I
yeah,
got
and I
proof that
think that
truck
you're
is
starting
ready.
to kind of
Not gonna let that
you're
happen
starting
this
to see
time.
Dakotah really
I want to go
become
back.
very
Then you'll be
fast on these
seeing
8
excitement
scale
to get
tracks
straight
because
to
he's
PM
using his
after
10
that. And of
scale
course, don't
speed, you
forget
know what I
Nitro
mean?
coming up
And
in
it's
September.
yeah, it's just starting to translate over here.
Are you able to turn down the race audio? Tim was saying it's
Yeah,
kind
I've
of
been
hard to
trying
hear
to
us.
turn it down almost all the way. So, okay, I'll just turn it all the way off so we don't have any audio. Does it work better?
Yeah, so I think, I mean, especially in this track, it was for sure like good. It was, if you're comfortable with 10 scale like slicks racing, then this would be a good track for you to just do well and be comfortable at. And yeah, I mean, I think like that's where I raced for a long time, was just 10 scale. So I kind of have that base like you were talking about.
Yeah.
And I think it shows on a track like this.
And then I think when you start 8 scale at a young age, the size of the 8 scale track I think becomes something more second nature. So I think if you're pure 10 scale, right? Like I was when I started to run 8 scale much later in my 20s, like the size of the track was so much, like it was such a difficult thing for me to get used to. So I think if you are just a 10 scale base guy, you'll struggle actually with the driving on a larger track. But the technical aspect of it, I think 10 scale really helps the driving part of in 8 scale, especially now as 8 scale starts to move to higher grip tracks like this track. And I think AMS and those type of tracks where you'll start to run more bar tire, maybe a clay tire here and there, and maybe some sort of low pin like Thornhill. I think Let's ran Scribbles there to win all 3 classes. So you're kind of, I think, starting to see what we start to see in a 10 skill is some of the higher grip 8 skill tracks coming around.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine like maintenance wise. I mean, every night they went out and would kind of just sweep some of the dust into a couple of, like, I wouldn't even say holes, just little like divots, and just spray it and kind of like seal it off. But I mean, they there was practically no maintenance all weekend. We weren't taking water breaks or really having to do anything. So I mean, for sure, at least on the track crew, like it was way easier. And I mean, it still was an awesome race on, and still off road, with the jumps and rhythm sections and stuff. So it worked out well.
So one of the questions we have from Vinny Lafata, Vinny asks, how do you adjust your driving with the wind? Is there like any special techniques, like, or anything to kind of like think about when you're driving in heavy wind conditions?
Yeah. So how you approach the jumps, you can change how the car reacts in the air quite a bit by how you hit the jump face. So obviously, if you're just going at the jump face at steady speed and you just jump it like this, going up to it the same speed the whole time, the front end is just going to follow the angle of the jump. So when it's windy, that's not a good thing. You're already starting out at a maybe a 45-degree angle, and then the wind catches it and it goes even farther. Especially with these new style wings running in 8 scale, they definitely don't jump as well. They don't have as much control in the air. So being aware of that is very important. So something I'll do is if it's really windy, when I go up to the jump face, I'll kind of let off as I approach the bottom of it. And then as you get to the top, you kind of like give the throttle a yank, and it kind of sets a suspension and lets it kind of like rebound off of the jump face more, and it pops the rear up so the front goes down. And it's I would say it's a pretty noticeable difference.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on there with with that. So another question that we have is the Well, let's just address it really quick. The shock bodies, right? We're running different shock bodies. It's one of the things that we've been testing. And instead of actually just developing our own, it's quicker to actually run another company's shocks and getting results from that and data so that you can start progressing into the next thing, right? So, yeah, I think like I said earlier, Dakotah is going to be always kind of running and testing some prototype things. On his car. It could be our own prototype stuff. It could be another company's. It could be something else. So like, you know, and then that's how we've been trying to progress. I feel like sometimes people say, oh, TLR doesn't come out with anything new or do anything new. And then we work on stuff and have some new prototype things, and then everybody's mad. Like, hey, why are you running all this prototype stuff? It's like, well, how do you guys expect us to test things? And if we can test it at like an event like Nationals and do well, that kind of solidifies the fact that it's something that's worthy of, you know, checking out, right? So
and you know, just like you said, it's much easier to stop doing like every little individual thing. Sometimes it's easier just to do just kind of everything and see where that's at, and then you can kind of work your way back from there. So I mean, we already have gotten a lot of information from testing stuff, and it kind of already has some stuff, you know, in the works that you know, we're going to be trying and stuff. So it works quick, and I mean, honestly, sometimes you notice, sometimes you don't, but I can pretty much guarantee that every car out here in this main event has parts from a different manufacturer on it. Just sometimes it's more noticeable than the other. That's part of racing. You know, that's you know, we're here to try to win. That's our job, and you know, we're gonna be trying stuff, trying to make progress, and that's the name of the game, and that's what everyone's doing. So.
Yeah, for a while, people were running our shocks, and for a while, people were running TLR diffs in their cars. So, like, you know, companies are using other companies' parts, especially for Nationals. You want to try to see, you know, push the envelope with performance and, you know, shortcut some of that advancement in getting to the next step. So, yeah, for sure, I think some of the testing that we're doing will go into the next generation of shocks, right? Like, that would make sense. So, but yeah, at this point, Dakotah's gonna be running a lot of prototype parts that we're gonna try to make sure the car is better, faster, you know, for all kinds of racing and this modern style racing. So I think, you know, the progress of the car at Nationals having the pace that it had, I think it was definitely a fast package.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, you saw my consistency. Like it was easy to drive. I was pretty happy with everything. Like it drove awesome in the main, and even with how different like the tread pattern was from beginning to end, like it was manageable the whole time. I didn't feel like, you know, it ever was out of control or get crazy or, you know, really do anything that I wasn't expecting. So that was cool. That was awesome to see.
What springs did we end up running?
So we ended up going up quite a bit, which is to kind of show you like how hot it was and what the grip level was like. So we went up to the silver front spring and then red rear spring, and then we were up from. I mean, we adjust a little bit, but we were up like 7.5 weight oil. So I ran, I think we ran at a burning 50 weight oil. Where normally we're like in the 42, 40 range, or, you know, I've been run even lighter than that before, you know, like 40, 37. So we were up quite a bit in spring and oil.
Yeah. And then still incline spindles. Did you run 17.5 degree spindles or carriers?
Yeah. So we thought about the 20s for a hot sec because that's what I ran at Worlds, but Worlds was a lot more. Worlds was even higher speed, and you had to really. Worlds wasn't a track where, like, you had to crank on the wheel there. You pretty much had to be full lock everywhere. Just how the grip level was and stuff. Where this was a little bit more direct steering, I would say. So I kind of wanted the 17.5s to get through the 180s, and it wasn't crazy twitchy or anything like that high speed. So we left that and really kind of just adjusted adjusted other things. When I started, it was like the car was locked in, so we kind of concentrated on getting more steering and more rotation without making it twitchy. Something you kind of mentioned earlier, I like to drive more off center, not use a ton of the wheel. But
So
the
for
problem with
those-
that is it makes it really twitchy sometimes.
So for those who don't know, Dakotah probably only uses half of the steering wheel. Like, yeah. So I don't yeah, he like, like here's full turn, he's like halfway.
Yeah.
And mainly because he tells me, well, if you steer too much, you scrub speed. So so one way to not scrub your speed is to turn less. Makes sense, right? Easy to think about, hard to do on the track and go fast. So he doesn't use a lot of steering in his car. Like when he complains a lot if he has to steer the full thing. Like, and I'm like, oh, that's normal. And then he's like, dude, I hate this. So full steering for him and cranking is like a car that pushes. But to me, it's like that's normal. But yeah, so half steering wheel, barely moving. That's kind of if that's your driving style, and everybody's a little different on the steering wheel. I've learned that like how you move and in relation with how your brain thinks how much it should steer is very dependent on the like person to person.
Yeah.
Like for instance, when Dakotah went to this new servo, the 6295s, the Dunford's like, hey, yeah, just might want to click it down the speed a couple clicks, right? Like 4 clicks on the steering, 6 clicks on the throttle servo. And he's like, okay, so he said it there, and he turned in because that's kind of slow. And then he ended up basically he ended up going back to no speed delay, like full speed steering servo, and like 2 clicks on the throttle. So like he's using full speed on his steering servo. So
for the throttle, the only reason I do the throttle is just for the carb. Something we kind of learned. I was kind of having some. This was years back, but just kind of having some inconsistencies with flame outs and stuff. And I think what was happening is if you have like a very fast throttle finger, you're like, not just like you going a steady speed or pulling it really smoothly. I think you can actually like be faster than what the carb can do to keep up. So we kind of figured out like just slowing it down just a few percent can kind of help take away that inconsistency with the
just
motor.
Runs a little better.
Yep.
Just a little smoother, right? So yeah, so adjusting servo speed is kind of a big thing. Unless you are a guy that barely turns the steering wheel, you want full speed because then you can actually use it because you're in control of your steering the whole time. So yeah, so that was kind of an interesting thing to play with, is that Dakotah barely steers his car and his steering speed is super fast. Okay, so all right, so sorry about the race and sound. I wish you guys would have told me that earlier. We could have muted that thing. So on my end it sounds okay, and it doesn't sound like it's muffling or anything like that. So all right, so if there's any other questions, do you have anything else to add, like what you thought was kind of cool about this race, or that you stood out in your mind as kind of a game changer, or something that made a big difference this weekend? Because like you said, like we were talking about, 2 in a row, it's not common. It's a very hard thing to do in Nitro 8-scale racing because of how many things have to go right. And I also think it's also because the other teams, they're always pushing, right? Mm-hmm. Like in 8-scale, like I feel like the progression of the 8-scale cars is kind of like a lot faster than 10-scale cars. 10-scale cars like don't really change much, I feel like, but 8-scale cars, I feel like next thing you know, the next generation of car has a whole different configuration. Like, the Kyosho has 2 saddle packs, or it's a saddle pack car that has it all the way on the ends, and then, like things change. It seems like 8-scale changes a lot.
Yeah, it's I feel like we've myself personally driving, and then the team and the equipment, they're just the car setup and parts and stuff. Like we've learned a ton in the last year. I feel like we're a lot better now than we were last year at Nationals. I think last year at Nationals was kind of like the start, so to speak. It was earlier on in the year, and I think we've learned a ton since then. I think I've learned a lot better how to manage the races and how to take more calculated risks instead of just risks. So yeah, I think that we're a lot better this year than we were last year, and hopefully we can just kind of continue to grow and make progress. And yeah, I mean the car has been really solid everywhere we go. You know, whether it be high grip smooth track like this, or we've gotten the car a lot better in rough lower grip conditions. So yeah, it's been it's been cool to see the progress, and just everything has been just more consistent, more stable, and I'm still able to get the speed out of the car. So that's been really cool to see, and I just feel like just the whole program in general, has just been really really good the last couple of years.
Sweet. Somebody asked Dakotah what diff oils. So Dakotah mentioned like we kind of used some of the information that we did from that we took from Worlds in Spain and kind of used some of that knowledge here. Thicker diff oils, thicker shocks, kind of some of the camber links and things like that, some of the tires and what to do with the tires. There was quite a bit of knowledge bleed, I think, between the Worlds in Spain and from this race.
Yeah, so I ended up, we went, pretty standard is 774. And we went up running 15 in the front. We went up to, I believe it was 20 in the center, just to kind of get more drive out of the corner once the grip had come up. That was really the only thing going into the main event that I felt like we could get better, which is, if you have more drive out of the corner, then the car goes faster on the track. I felt like driving characteristic wise and stuff, the car was awesome. So we went up in the center diff, and then the rear, we kind of were on like the 5 to 6 range, where typically we're at 4. So went up a little bit in everything. The only thing you have to be kind of careful of is the rear. Obviously, as you go up in the rear, you kind of take away that rotation off power when you're letting out the brakes. So just being aware of that. But yeah, like I said, I was really happy with everything. I feel like I went into buggy with a little bit different mindset after Truggy, and it didn't have anything to do with anyone else or trying to win by a certain amount or anything like that. It was more just about like I just wanted to go out there and drive as good as I could the whole time.
Make
really,
a statement.
Really, just for myself. Like I don't know. I was just really I was, obviously kind of ticked off after Truggy, especially just the time frame that happened, and it sucked for everyone, for that to happen. So
if that race was 44 minutes long,
yeah. So I guess I just went out in buggy with just kind of like the mindset, like I just want to go as good as I can for the whole time.
Yeah.
Just to like, I don't know, kind of like, I guess, redeem myself, so to speak. But I just, I didn't really have anything to do with anyone else.
No, for me, I was like, how is my guy going to bounce back? Is this race going to affect him? Is he going to let that race kind of bug him and then kind of use it as an excuse to why whatever happened in buggy happened? You know what I mean? So like, I was kind of like going through some different thoughts and thought processes and be like, let's see, if he's a true champion, this dude's going to muster up probably one of the best races he'll throw down. And then like, that's what you do. It's like, okay, he threw down one of the best races I've ever seen you drive. And I think that's actually what I said to you when you came back after this, after the event, or after the main, we came back to the pits and I was like, dude, awesome job. I think that's the best drive I've seen you put in like ever. And you're like, yeah, I think it was. I'm like, dude, it was nearly flawless for an hour and just awesome to watch, like every lap and just the car control and everything's in sync and just in control the whole time,
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And it was tough because we did Truggy and then I got to run both of the semi-practice warm-ups because I didn't have to run the semi. And they actually started the first one. I think I was still actually getting interviewed.
Yeah, you're still talking, man. And they're like, hey, I got to go run my warm up. It's like,
yeah. So, I mean, you didn't really have much time. So then we're kind of behind a little bit with the Nitro Buggy, like, just even getting it started and warmed up. And game plan and stuff, and then my headset got turned off. So like I'm talking to Barry, but like Barry can't hear me. So then it was just kind of a mess in the practice and stuff. And then we had a little bit of time, probably an hour and probably 2 hours or so. That both the semis ran, and they had the junior final and a little bit of a break and stuff. So after that, kind of had like 2 hours or so to kind of reset and get back where we need to mindset wise and stuff. And I knew the car was good. The engine had been running awesome. I was getting better fuel mileage than pretty much everyone else the whole time. I was going out there on my favorite tire. So like,
yeah, I was like, after I heard everybody else's fuel mileage, I'm like, dude, what was everybody doing that bad? I'm like, okay, so maybe we don't have to push the envelope this race, and so it was kind of nice to hear that. And then also, I knew rehabs, you've always been fast on those. Yeah. The results are always usually good on rehabs. So I was like, if this is going to go on rehabs, this is probably going to be, like pretty awesome. So it ended up going out on rehabs and everything was awesome. So the car was good, tires.
We went out on a compound and a tire that I had not run at all that so far. So we just got to make the decision. And
back in the day when I was with Jason working for JC, I remember having a conversation with Jason about all the tire compounds, the guessing game, the what do you run, and it kind of obviously stresses me out, or like trying to nail it right. But he's like that's the part he likes about racing, is like having that mystery or that X factor, that if you made a right choice at the right time, you can change the outcome of the race. And he actually like kind of like likes the fact that it's a little bit random, and you don't really know what's going to be like the tire out there, and somebody could throw in like a just a off the wall tire compound combo and just blaze the field and lap everybody. Like, he actually liked that. I was like, oh man, okay, you're one of those guys that likes the pain. Okay, I got it. Yeah. So, but yeah, a couple last questions here. Drag link. There's 2 drag links. Somebody asked, what hole are you using in the drag link?
Yeah, so just I'm assuming probably talking about the Ackerman bar. It's just I usually run it all the way back.
All the way back.
Yeah, just a little bit more consistent steering. If you move it forward, it has a little bit more initially, and then kind of dies out after that. I think most people run it pretty much all the way back.
Okay, so Chris Riley asked about the world spec parts being released. I haven't heard any time frame with the pieces. So I know that they made an adjustment mid design. So they kind of went through and redid it so it was more durable. So so that I think is going to take a little bit longer to have a release, just because there was an adjustment midway, which is a good thing, because that means we're getting something that has been adjusted to be more durable. So that's I think a positive thing in the long run, that we're not running something that's not tested and tried and true at this point. So but that's pretty much the race. I mean, back to back. Hopefully, I when I was talking to Dakotah on the phone a couple of days ago, I was like, like the question now is, whether not if you can do it or not. It's the question is, how many can you get in a row? Like, there's obviously a good flow going. The team chemistry, your car performance, your driving is really have come into a place where I don't think that's really we've ever really seen in other driving, or maybe the Mayfield Cavalieri Thibaut heyday. This is kind of something similar, or maybe even more so. So it's just been awesome to see and be a part of and witness, and kind of being a part of history a little bit.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's been a fun couple of years, and it's like I said, just enjoy it while we can, and try to keep it rolling as long as we can.
Yeah, I mean, just like like the track we're looking at, Kevin Gelleck, we never know when our time is up. So make the most of the time that we do have, and be kind, to be nice to each other, and have fun racing RC cars. I don't think that's too much to ask, right?
No, not at all.
So I just want to say thanks to everybody that was viewing and watching and being part of the show. I know it's kind of at a weird time, and a little early on the East Coast. Maybe you're working and not off work yet. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks, Dakotah, for stopping by and talking about the 2023 National Championship race here in Nitro Buggy at Chico. Awesome track, awesome time, great results. Couldn't be better. So congratulations. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Anything last minute thanks, Dakotah?
Yeah, just thanks to everyone. I mean, Barry worked his butt off all weekend getting the cars dialed in and trying stuff. Dunford was there as well. All the testing behind the scenes and development that he's done, and just coming to the races and having his knowledge and advice and stuff. Obviously you, of course, for all the work that you're putting in and just making sure that we're all rolled in the right direction. And then staying on top of all that. Mike was doing some great pit stops this weekend. Just for the whole team, Brent and everyone at Ultimate. I feel like the whole Ultimate Nitro X thing has been a great addition to the program. It's been awesome since day one. So excited to get this win for them as well, and see all the success that they've had in the U.S. And then J Concepts and Jason over there. Like I said, it's the whole program. Everything has to be working really well. You can't have anything off anymore. It's all got to be right. It's got to be working right. Just has to be on point now.
Yeah, there's no easy wins, that's for sure, man. Like these are tough races. Like we come back from these things, and I think you're feeling the same thing I'm feeling. Is a little bit of the track hangover, from the weekend, and hard to get kind of back into gear because I think these races take a lot out of you in terms of just the prep, the mental, the grind every day. Like people think, oh, dude, you guys are going to racing. That's awesome. And it is 100% awesome, but it's not easy. And it takes a lot of work and effort, and it's a whole team thing at a race like Nationals or Silver State. It's a big big group, a lot of people and a lot of effort. So it's, so thanks to Barry, Dunford, Mike, the whole entire team, the Wyatts, all the guys back at the office, cheering us on and give us the ability to go out and do this. So it's fantastic. So thanks, guys. Dakotah's going to go to Visions next tomorrow. So he's flying out tomorrow. Yeah, so we just talked about how we go from one race to another race, and it's just like it's Visions for Dakotah tomorrow. Chloe's going to be there for pitting. It's going to be an awesome event. It's been kind of talked about ever since last year, and I'm stoked to see how you do at that race and your first time out there. So see how it goes. So good luck.
For sure. Thanks.
All right, guys, that's it for us. See you guys next time at the next live show, which I'll have to do more of these and have different guests on and do some chit chatting because they're a lot of fun, and I think a lot of people can benefit from small videos like this. So thanks, guys. See you later.
Cool. See you guys.